New Scotland Yard, Part 1, production number 1594, take 1.
No, thank you, my love. I haven't time.
Oh, of course you have, darling.
No, really.
Honestly, anyone would think you had to clock on or something, Elliot.
I have an early appointment, darling.
Will you be home late this evening?
No, shouldn't think so. Why? You off out somewhere?
No, just the hairdressers and a bit of shopping. I ought to get a job.
Why? You don't like work? Not the conventional kind, that is.
Something unconventional.
Well, go back to modelling.
God, no.
You know, when you're bored like this,
Yes?
you buy things.
You don't mind, do you, darling?
Well, not so long as you're not too extravagant.
Well, I have to have something to do during the day.
Yes, I'm sure you'll find plenty to do.
I feel like one of those birds
What birds?
in a gilded cage.
Well, it's an open cage, darling, and you know how to fly.
I thought beef stroganoff for dinner
Fine.
and a bottle of Chateauneuf.
Fine. Good morning. Good morning. What does he do?
Something in television, I think. Will you be home for lunch?
No, not today. See you this evening. Bye-bye.
Nice. What was that for?
Warm gesture of affection.
Oh, is that all?
Speak not of love, you said. I don't like being the plaything of an idle hour.
Oh, don't be stupid.
Sorry. Why stay with him?
I'm his wife.
I've heard of better reasons.
Oh, don't be glib. I also happen to be very fond of him.
Then he's respectable and secure.
Yes.
And loaded.
Don't be boring, George.
You just use me.
And you use me. All those sordid little hotels.
Well, we can hardly book in at the Savoy for a couple of hours, can we? Famous ex-model, what would they say?
I really don't see why we can't use your flat.
My mate won't wear it.
I haven't even been there for a drink. Don't give much away, do you?
Know my sleeping habits?
What I know about you has very little to do with sleeping. Why aren't you in the phone book?
I've got to be mysterious to interest a glamorous bird like you.
Be serious for once. You know everything about me, and my husband. You just ask questions and I answer.
Price of fame?
You're impossible.
You're beautiful. Why all this sudden interest in the details of my life?
Because I'm falling in love with you.
This is delicious, darling.
Thank you. Elliot,
Oh?
there's something I want to ask you.
What?
I wonder who that can be.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
No, I'll go.
No, you finish your meal.
Elliot!
Ah!
For God's sake!
Hold it, lady! That's it, nice and still, easy. And no screaming, darling, or else bang, bang. Got it? Now, be a good girl. Go and fetch another chair in here, will you? Go on. Down there. Sit down and just let your hands dangle by your sides, all right? And look straight ahead. All right. Hello. Don't buy smut, your old man, do you, eh? Oh, very original. Nice. Here's a prize, though, mate. That bullet missed your wife's head by about 1.5 inches. Now, you see, our predicament, Mr. Ryan, is that we would like to open that safe on the wall back there. But bless me, we don't know the combination. It's a problem, isn't it? But then, you know it, don't you, eh? And I'm sure you'd like to assist my friend and I in our quest for the finer things in life, wouldn't you? So I'll tell you what I'll propose. You tell us the combination of the safe, and I'll promise not to blow the top of your wife's head off with my next shot. Eh? There, what do you say? That's a reasonable request, wouldn't you agree? There's a sensible fella. Here. Oh, look, nurse, it's a mouth, and I do believe it's healed. All right, Mr. Ryan, the number, please.
1911. 16 4.
Don't want you catching nasty germs now, do we, eh? Is that it?
That's it.
Here. Put it away. Hey, not bad. What about these then, eh?
Come on.
Here, the ring. So sorry to have disturbed you. Good night.
All right. Dig it out.
This is Mr. Aldridge. He was the one who discovered the Ryans and phoned us, Chief Superintendent Kingdom.
Mr. Aldridge, let's go through there, shall we?
Terrible business, Superintendent, terrible. Such a nice couple, too.
Know them well, do you?
Well, no, not well. I'm their new neighbour. I moved in across the hall about a month ago. They seem very fond of each other. Well, I mean, he kisses her goodbye each morning, that sort of thing. I'm sometimes in the hall collecting my milk and morning paper when he leaves for work.
What's your line of work?
I'm in television. Production side.
Could you tell me how you came to discover all this?
Yes. I was in the corridor outside and I heard thumping and moaning coming from inside this flat. Well, I looked through the letterbox and there they both were, trussed up like parcels. Well, I forced the door and broke in. It wasn't difficult to tell what had happened. Safe open, drawers all out, papers thrown all over the place. So I undid them straight away and phoned for the police.
Time?
Approximately 8:15.
Yes, it would have been about that. I was on my way home from the studios.
Did you take the lift up or the stairs?
Lift.
See anyone? Anyone at all?
No, not a soul. Well, rarely do. It's very quiet here. Anyway, I missed whoever it was by about 20 minutes.
How'd you know that?
Well, Mr. Ryan said it was that when I untied him.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Aldridge. Now, perhaps you'd like to give a full statement to my sergeant here.
Well, isn't that what I've just done?
We like to get it all down on paper, just for the record.
Will I have to appear in court?
Perhaps. Spoken much to them yet?
No, not much. They were both in a state of shock when I arrived. I thought it better to wait until you got here, give them a chance to calm down.
Dig down a bit with that one, will you?
You think he's involved?
No, probably not. But from the way this looks, might have been set up by someone.
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, my name's Kingdom, Chief Superintendent. Do you feel like talking about it now?
Yes, of course.
Good. Right, well, just take your time. Begin at the beginning.
A rewarding end to your affair, Georgie boy?
Not
eh?
an affair, business, nothing else.
Oh, touchy about it, is she? Eh?
All right, Barry, turn it in. Make us a coffee, love.
Yeah.
Don't aggravate her, Barry. I've had a right game as it is over that other bird.
Yeah, fun and games, you mean. Now, listen, any time you want me to do that side of the
You
business,
do what you're
mate-
good at, I'll do what I'm good at.
Yeah, but I'm good at that too, ain't I?
Yes, but I'm better looking.
Okay, pretty boy. What do you reckon?
The right way, about 60-odd grand. Say 20 with my man, it's all top quality.
Yeah, as much as that, eh?
That's rather a large amount to have in the flat, isn't it?
Well, I am a jeweller, Superintendent, and I deal in precious gems. Oh, but of course there was my wife's jewellery here as well, and those 3 items alone are worth 10,000.
Yes, but you have business premises in Hatton Garden. Do you normally hold stock of that value here? You must have a safe in your office, surely.
Oh, yes, of course, and that's where the majority of my stock is. But, well, once a week, every Thursday, I get a consignment of gems from Amsterdam. Well, I made a habit of bringing them back here in order to examine the stones and check the inventory.
Who, apart from your wife, knows that you bring this consignment home once a week?
Well, only my assistant to the office and my secretary.
You sure of that?
Well, yes, of course. No one else could possibly know. I'm aware of the need for security.
How long have they been working for you?
Well, Mr. Blake, my assistant, he's been with me for 12 years. He's almost a junior partner. My assistant, my secretary, Mrs. Jablonski, well, she's been with the firm for 10 years. Oh, they're both completely reliable and beyond reproach.
I'm sure they are. But you realize I will have to question them, just as a matter of routine. Now, Mrs. Ryan, can you think of anyone to whom you might, inadvertently perhaps, have mentioned the fact that your husband brings this consignment home every week?
Oh, really, Superintendent. I hope you're not implying that my wife had anything to do with
For
it.
God's sake, Elliot. I know you're upset, darling. So am I. It was awful, but it's a perfectly valid question the superintendent's asking. Try to be reasonable.
Yes, of course. I apologize, Superintendent.
That's all right, sir. You're bound to be upset. Anyone would be. Well, Mrs. Ryan?
The answer's no, Superintendent. I don't discuss my husband's business affairs with anyone.
I hope she don't suss you out, Georgie boy.
Why should she?
Well, got a sixth sense about these things, birds. Ain't they, Julie? Eh?
Just drop that in the river, will you?
When are you seeing your man?
Next week. He's away at the moment. I'll stash this.
Can he handle all this? I mean, will he have the ready?
He'll have it.
OK. I'll be in touch. She could still suss you out, you know, couldn't she, Jules? Even though you were well masked up.
I doubt it. Even if she does, she can hardly let on. Otherwise, she puts herself right in it with her old man.
You're sure you don't remember anything else about them apart from their size and the clothes they were wearing?
No, I'm sorry,
No,
Superintendent.
nothing. It was a nightmare.
What about their voices? Accents?
Cockney, I remember that.
Yes.
Both of them.
No, now I think about it. The taller one didn't say anything, did he?
Well, no, now you mention it, I don't think he did. In fact, I'm sure he didn't.
Positive about that?
Yes.
Yes, certainly.
Why, is that significant?
I don't know, but it could be. It could be that he has a very distinctive voice, or it could be that it's someone who's known to one or both of you, didn't want you to recognize it.
Of course, you know who she is.
Miss Ryan?
Yeah. Or was, I should say.
No, who?
Carlotta Paddington. The model, you know. She used to be very big. Oh, about 3 years ago. Suddenly packed it all in and married Ryan. Her photos were everywhere. Hoardings, front pages of fashion magazines. She was very successful.
Well, I don't read fashion magazines. But I'm sure you do.
Think hard. Most of us have some sort of physical idiosyncrasy the way we stand, walk, hold ourselves. Think about the people you know, friends, acquaintances, anyone who's approximately the same height and build as this man.
Well, look, you're not suggesting that one of our friends robbed us. The idea's preposterous.
Doesn't have to be a friend, just someone who knows you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Superintendent, but the whole idea is simply unacceptable.
Mr. Ryan, whoever robbed you this evening seemed to know exactly what they were looking for and on what night to look for it.
You're not going to see her again, are you?
I'll have to see her a couple of times. Well, otherwise she definitely will suss something. Oh, come on, love, you're not stupid. You know the score. We've made 20 grand tonight. That's 10 my way. Did you get those tickets for the Godfather, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Good, we probably won't need them. As for that Ryan bird, don't worry, I'll fix her.
I realize the idea is very unpleasant, but if you do think of anyone, please, let us know. Yes? Now, I'm afraid I have to go, but my sergeant will be here till the others have finished. It shouldn't take long.
I don't know what you expect them to find. Both men wore gloves, and I doubted they left their cards.
It's routine. Anyway, you know, thieves often do leave a card, even if it's not the conventional kind. Well, I expect I shall see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Aldridge. That'll be all for the moment.
Well, any joy?
Nosy, gossipy, relatively harmless in my opinion. You?
A couple of interesting factors. We'll discuss them later. I have to get back to the yard now, so if you can just make sure that everything's tidied out here. Get
Yes,
the
will do.
ballistics and frames.
How's your side now, Mr. Ryan? You really ought to call your doctor, you know.
Yes, but it'll keep until morning. It's just a few bruised ribs. Oh, and thank you once again for all your help.
Yes, extremely good of you.
I'm only sorry I couldn't do more. Such a terrible business altogether.
Yes.
Such an ordeal for you. And to lose all that valuable jewellery as well. I do hope you're insured.
Oh, yes, we're well insured, thank God.
And I've heard from the insurance company.
Well, what do they want?
Our side of it.
I suppose they're wondering if Ryan set himself up to be robbed.
That's about the size of it. I told them our investigation so far didn't indicate complicity.
Yeah, I'm just about bushed. Just as baffled. 3 days traipsing around, nothing. Ryan's employees seem to be honest to the point of nausea, and what with that and forensic drawing a blank, I've just about had it up to here.
I suppose it could have been a coincidence.
What?
Robbing the Ryans on the night he just happened to have those diamonds in the place. I mean, the thieves could simply have anticipated he was likely to have jewellery there any night and just struck lucky.
I don't know. They were obviously a couple of pros. I wouldn't mind betting they at least knew about Ryan's wife and her little collection of expensive baubles, which still doesn't explain why one of them didn't speak during the robbery.
Professionalism, perhaps. Why take unnecessary risks? Oh, maybe he was a mute, even.
Yeah, I've thought of that. I checked with CRO for mute thieves. This was small and without possibilities.
How long will you be away on this business trip?
Not too long. About a month at the most.
You're not trying to dump me, are you?
Don't be silly.
I'll miss you, you know. I nearly told Elliot about us. But after that dreadful robbery, it was impossible. He was so upset I just couldn't.
Police made any headway?
As far as I can gather, none at all.
It's a pity. Thugs like that.
Well, in a way, I've sort of got my own back.
How do you mean?
Well, it's awful, really. I'm afraid I'm being rather naughty. You know, I told you they took a necklace and bracelet of mine. Well, they were my Pace replicas.
Do the insurance people know?
Oh, no. Well, they can afford it, can't they? Well, that's why I don't want the police to catch the thieves, really. I mean, they might find out. Well, it is my jewellery, darling. And I did have it before I met Elliot. And I thought if you and I... Well, the money would come in very handy. Elliot doesn't know, of course.
Mrs. Ryan, guess what?
Surprise me.
I think I will. She's being blackmailed. Now, you handled them as little as possible.
Yes.
You should have let us come to you.
My husband may have come home early. I couldn't risk him walking in and finding you there asking questions about those.
If you don't want your husband to know about this, it will cost you £5,000 for the negatives and silence. Sorry to read about your recent loss, but I'm sure it will be more than adequately covered by insurance. I will be in touch.
Sounds educated, if amateurish.
Amateurish?
Yes, it's typed. If we get close enough to suspect someone, typeface could be matched to a specific typewriter. He's asked too much first time round, and he hasn't warned you about contacting the police.
Or he may be confident that we can't possibly suspect him, whoever he is, and have some ingenious method in mind for collecting the money.
He can be as ingenious as he likes. I can't give him that amount. I simply haven't got it.
How long have you known this man, Mrs. Ryan?
Does it matter?
But what you do with your private life is your business. I'm not here to pass moral judgment. I need to know.
I've known him 6 weeks, maybe 7.
What does he call himself?
Call himself? What on earth do you mean?
His name?
I don't see that there's any of your business, Superintendent. I came here because I'm being threatened with blackmail, not to discuss or disclose my personal affairs more than I need to.
Well, he doesn't have to know that you told us.
That has nothing to do with it.
Does it occur to you, Mrs. Ryan, that it may be this man who's attempting to blackmail you?
It's ridiculous.
It has been known to happen, Mrs. Ryan. A man compromises a woman and then has an accomplice take photographs.
Well, it's out of the question. His name's George Reed, and he's a perfectly respectable businessman.
He's known to you as George Reed.
That is his name. He's in antiques. And surely, if what you were suggesting were true, he would have arranged for his accomplice to take much more intimate photographs than those. Well, he may be compromising, but
Nevertheless,
there's
you
certainly...
wouldn't like your husband to see them.
No.
And I take it you have no intention of telling him about your indiscretion.
There'd be little point in coming to see you if I did. I nearly told him. I intended to, but there was the robbery, and this on top of everything else. I'm afraid it would be too much for him. He's a good man, Superintendent, and a good husband.
You may have to tell him.
But if you can find the man who's doing this and stop him... I thought the police were meant to be discreet in cases like this.
This man, George Reed, has he ever asked you for money?
Certainly not.
Are you emotionally involved with him?
Yes, I'm afraid I am, but I really
How much
don't
do you really
see...
know about him?
Honestly, Superintendent, this is intolerable. I I came here to ask for your help, and all you seem to be concerned with are the personal details of my affair.
I'm sorry you say it that way. Now, all we have to go on at the moment are this letter and these photographs. They'll be examined. Now, we could fix a device to your telephone to record all incoming calls, but in that case your husband would need to know about it. And since I imagine you don't want that, the best thing is for you just to wait till the next contact is made and then get in touch with us with the details.
Usually the only way a blackmailer can be caught, Mrs. Ryan, is when he tries to collect the money. The evidence is often only available after we know his identity.
So you see, it is a matter in which we have to proceed discreetly. And you would help me a great deal by telling me all you know about Mr. Reed.
No, I have told
Yes,
you as...
Mrs. Ryan. Now, his name is George Reed. You've known him for 6 weeks. What's his address?
I know it sounds silly, but I don't know his exact address. And I can't contact him for the next few weeks because he's away on business.
I don't like it, Jules.
Our gear was paste, Barry. She told me herself, honestly. She's trying to con the insurance people.
You're trying to tell me she's bent? A bird like that?
Oh, come on, mate. Phony insurance claims by those sort go on all the time when they get turned over, and you know it. Now, come on, come. How often have you had a tickle? And then seen in the papers the next day that so-and-so says so much was taken, and you know it's well over the top because you had it.
So why didn't you tell me the stuff was junk the minute you found out?
I tried, I rang, you weren't there. I was doing the deal that afternoon. There was no way. I didn't know you were off looking at some business, did I?
OK. So why don't you keep the phony gear for me to see, then?
Oh, God, I wish I had now. I didn't want it lying around here. I dumped it in the river. At least Julie did, didn't you, love?
Yeah, I dumped it.
I wouldn't turn you over, Barry, would I?
Look, I come on this because thieving ain't your game. I expected 10 grand, my whack. I've got 8. Now, I'm telling you, you try and con me, boy, you start sweating.
Bit rough on her, weren't you?
Was I?
I thought so.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I find it hard to be over-sympathetic. Looks, money, all the good things of life, devoted husband, and she still needs Mr. Reed.
Well, we all have our little imperfections.
Little.
She's still a potential blackmail victim.
And so entitled to the protection of the law.
Yes.
Yeah, well, she'll get it. Make a start by letting the lab have a look at this. Prints, type of film, camera, make of typewriter, and see what you can find out about Mr. Reed. Start by tracing that telephone number.
Right. You know, he doesn't look stupid.
No, but she is. Can you imagine? 6 weeks and all she has is a phone number.
Yeah, she says. Still, if he's not stupid, it's not likely that he'd try and set up such an amateurish blackmail stunt as this.
I wasn't thinking of blackmail. Look at him. Height, build. Then imagine him with a balaclava and goggles.
You don't think he'll do anything, do you?
What?
In white.
It's true what I told him. Why should he?
He didn't believe you. You could see that.
If he was going to do anything, he'd have done it there and then.
He's the sort that broods.
Oh, don't be silly. You hardly know the
I
man.
know the type.
Look, it'll be okay. Stop worrying.
It's you that's worrying.
Hello, Mrs. Ryan.
Oh, hello, Mr. Aldrich.
Everything all right? You look upset about something.
Do I?
Yes. Anything I can do?
No, I'm perfectly all right, thank you.
No news about the robbery?
No, nothing.
Oh, pity. Doubt if the police will catch them now, eh?
No. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have a call to
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. Now, don't forget, if there's anything I can do, just let me know.
Thank you.
By the way, are the insurance people all right about it all?
Insurance? Oh, yes, perfectly.
Good.
Well, if you'll excuse me now.
Oh, found him?
Not yet. There's no trace of anyone in the antique business known as George Reed. No one in the directory who fits either.
What about the phone number we had from Mrs. Ryan?
Subscriber's name? Miss Julie Moore, flat 12, Aquarius Mansions, West 6.
Oh.
She could have got the number wrong.
Could you?
Freudian slip. Want me to check?
No, not yet. If she thinks we're too interested in Reed, if she thinks we're trying to connect him with the robbery, and if she's emotionally involved with him, she might try to warn him.
I wouldn't mind betting that she set the whole thing up herself. They probably planned to skip together as soon as he's got rid of the stuff and she's collected the insurance money.
No, she may be stupid. She's not that stupid. She wouldn't have come to us with the blackmail attempt and with Reed's photo if that were the case. No, it's my guess he could have got what he wanted from her without her being aware of it.
And now he's trying to get more out of her with the blackmail.
Possibly. What did you find from C3?
2 sets of prints on the photos. One probably Mrs. Ryan's. They're checking the other set now in CRO. The lab have identified the make of the typewriter. They're checking on the camera and the film. I've also asked CRO to see if they can match Reed's photograph with any known criminal. They'll ring through as soon as they have anything.
You said you told her you're going away on business.
I did. Let it ring.
Well done. They've matched Reed's photograph. His real name is George Reynolds. He's used several aliases in his time. He's got form for false pretenses and fraud, and he specializes in the confidence trick.
Doesn't sound like a thief and a blackmailer. What about the prints on the photos?
Yeah, they don't match. Accomplice?
Con men usually work alone.
Last known address, 12 Aquarius Mansions, West 6.
Right. We'll need a car and some extra men. Oh, get a warrant.
That was nice. Come on, get changed. I feel like going up.
George Reynolds?
Yes.
Please. You are George Reynolds?
Yes, what is this? I didn't invite you in here.
Seen one of these before, haven't you?
What is it?
Oh, that shows style.
A warrant to search these premises for stolen jewellery. All right, carry on.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Why?
What's this about?
Oh, come on, Reynolds.
Miss Julie Moore?
How do you know?
Phone's in your name, isn't it?
Why shouldn't it be?
No reason. You live here with him.
Yeah.
Very cozy.
Pig.
All right, love, cool it. There's obviously been a mistake.
No mistake.
Well, would you mind telling us what this is about?
You know a Mrs. Carlotta Ryan?
Oh. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
How long have you known her?
Look, are you arresting me for something?
Naturally.
Because if you
See-
are, I'm not answering any of your questions without my lawyer being present.
Why? Got something to hide, haven't you?
No.
Then you won't mind answering our questions, will you?
Oh, very neat. Police training manual.
You can always ask them down at the yard if you like.
If you want me down there, you'll have to arrest me, and that way you won't get any
Oh,
answers.
come on, Reynolds. We're all too long in the tooth to play games. You know why we're here.
I can guess. I imagine it's about the robbery that took place at Carlotta Ryan's flat last week.
What makes you think that?
Well, it doesn't take much working out, does it? I can read the papers. You come busting in here asking me if I know her. Of course I know her. I've been having an affair with her. Oh, it's all right. Julie knows. I've confessed all, promised to be a good boy. In point of fact, I had lunch with Carlotta the other day and told her I was going away on business. Easing out, so to speak. I know it's cowardly. Her feelings are mostly surface. She'll survive.
Oh, was it that you couldn't con her out of anything, so you decided to rob her instead?
Don't be ridiculous. Robbery isn't my game, and you know it. I don't deny I wouldn't have accepted the odd gift from her if she had offered it me, but she didn't, which you've no doubt checked on. By the way, did she put you on to me?
Where were you on Thursday evening between 7:30 and 8:30?
Julie?
We went to see The Godfather.
That's right. Doing crime.
Is vandalism also part of police training?
I thought you were the tolerant type.
Can you prove you were at the cinema that night?
Well, we didn't meet anyone we knew, if that's what you mean. I can tell you the plot if you like.
You could have seen it any night.
I couldn't agree more. How does one prove one's been to the picture? Save the ice cream
I
carvings.
can prove it. I've still got the bits of tickets to give you back somewhere. We've got the date and time of performance on those West End cinema tickets.
Well, date and time are right, but I mean, anybody can buy cinema tickets. You don't have to use them.
Well, I did, and we went.
Why'd you tell Mrs. Ryan your name was Reed?
Would you believe instinct? A rather extensive experience of these matters, I'm afraid. Anyway, there's no law that says I can't use any name I like in that sort of situation, is there?
You must be very tolerant indeed, miss.
What do you think?
I think he's lying through his teeth.
Cinema tickets.
Ah, useless. Still, I don't know. I'm half convinced.
He's a con man. It's his stock and trade to be convincing.
Does it very well. Well, it doesn't look as if we're going to find anything here. If we don't find anything, we've got nothing to hold him on.
We've shown our hand. He's no mug. If we don't press him now, we'll have no chance later.
What do you suggest? We take him down, give him the third degree to make him confess?
Nothing in the book that say we can't give him a tough interrogation.
He will have a lawyer. He's the type. Don't imagine we won't have him there before you can even ask him his date of birth.
So we don't let him have a phone call.
Hello? You're speaking? Yes, I'm listening. No, I haven't told the police. When? Yes, I know the place. All right, I'll be there. Yes, I'll do just as you said.
No, Mrs. Ryan. It's very likely he'll be watching the flat. Yeah. We don't want to scare him off. Yeah, of course you're scared, but it's the money he wants, not you. No. He'll probably be watching you all the way. Yeah, just to make sure you don't get up to anything. So, carry out the instructions to the letter and try and act as normally as possible. No, go to the bank. But don't put any money in the bag. Stuff it with newspaper. Yeah. Perfectly safe. My men will be watching you every inch of the way. Now, you're quite sure you've got the time and place, right? Yes? Yeah. All right, well, just leave the rest to us. No, I promise you, nothing like that.
Where?
Dulwich Park.
When?
This afternoon.
See anyone we know?
No, not yet.
If it turns out to be our friend Reynolds, I'll be almost disappointed in him.
He's taking his time.
Hang on. Well, I'll be... It's our good Samaritan from across the hall. Sit down over there, Mr. Aldrich. You have been a stupid little man, haven't you? What made you think you could get away with it?
She said she hadn't told the police or anyone.
Not touching faith. And stunning naivety.
But now her husband will know.
Will he, Superintendent?
It depends.
Yes, but there'll be a court case, publicity.
The courts protect the victim as best they can in blackmail cases.
And they'll refer to me as Mrs. X or some such thing.
Something like that,
Yes,
yeah.
but I'll have to appear in court, won't I? I'll be seen. My face is known, for God's sake.
You could always disguise yourself in some way. Wig, dark glasses.
Are you serious?
Perfectly.
But couldn't I write an anonymous statement of some kind?
I see. Let's get it all down in writing, shall we?
Evidence backed by witnesses must be placed before the court.
You should have warned me.
Would it have made any difference?
About telling you?
Yes.
I don't know.
Blackmailers don't usually let the victim off with just one payment, you know. Not even inept ones like Aldridge.
You don't think he had anything to do with the robbery, do you?
No. But I think it only fair to tell you that we've interviewed George Reed in connection with it.
My God, you have.
Oh, yes, we have.
But you had no right
Every
to do
right
that.
in the world. You may be interested to know that his real name is George Reynolds. He's a known confidence trickster with a number of convictions and prison sentences behind him.
I don't believe you.
We find him at home, not away on business. He lives quite happily, it seems, with a woman called Julie Moore. As far as I can understand, he intends to keep it that way. I'm sorry. I thought you'd want to know. Good day, Mrs. Wright. You know, I think it might be a good idea if you were to tell your husband about Reynolds. I'm sure he's big enough to understand and forgive. And it would certainly solve a lot of difficulties all round.
Superintendent,
Yeah?
you didn't say whether you think George had anything to do with the robbery.
Well, we haven't arrested him. But what do you think? Good day.
Julie Moore.
Yes, that'll do very nicely, Mr. Aldridge.
How long do you think I'll get?
Oh, it's hard to say. No form, cooperative when arrested. Depends on the judge. Serious offence, though. 3 years, if you're lucky. Maybe 5.
5. I'll never do it.
Well, just do what you can.
I suppose I'll be kept here until I appear before the magistrates.
Yes, you'll be charged sometime this evening. And you'll appear in the morning.
What
Is
time?
there any phone calls you want to make? A lawyer, someone? It's getting on for 6. Is there something funny about that?
Carlotta Ryan won't think so. Nor her husband.
What's the matter, darling?
He did what?
Left copies of the photos and an explanatory note with the caretaker. He told him to give it to Ryan as soon as he got home.
So he was going to expose her anyway.
Oh, no, he intended to get him back off the caretaker if nothing happened, if he hadn't been done before Ryan got back home.
Oh, I'm damned.
Yeah, not so stupid after all. Mind you, I don't know what it'll do for his chances of a light sentence.
So, she's not going to have much choice in the matter.
What's that?
I advised her to confess.
I always knew you should have been a priest.
Well, I only hope I was right about the old man. I told her I thought he'd forgive and forget.
Oh! God's sake, Elliot!
Who is he?
Look, please try and understand.
Understand?
He
God
meant
Almighty!
nothing to me.
Nothing.
It's you I love, I promise.
Love. You dare to say that to me after this filth?
Well, you may be right. He may be terribly, terribly civilized. Well, of course I understand, darling, but I do think he's a little bit off. I think you should have told me.
Very funny.
Anyway, what's the difference? She made her bed, let her lie in it.
Now, Miss Moore, do you feel up to talking about it now?
I'm all right.
Good. Like a drink or something?
I said I'm all right.
As you please. Now, you were in bed when it happened, I believe.
Yeah.
You didn't see who it was.
No.
Any conversation, do you hear?
No.
Well, perhaps you'll describe for me what did happen.
There's nothing much to describe. The doorbell rang, George answered it, and someone shot him.
Now, Julie, George must have made a lot of enemies. Can you think of anyone who disliked him enough to do this?
Yeah, I think I know who did it.
Oh.
A fella called Barry White.
Who's he?
He's a thief.
How do you know?
Because it was him who robbed those Ryan people.
How'd you know that?
I don't suppose it matters now. George was the other man.
And the trip to the pictures?
I went on my own. I bought 2 tickets.
You realise what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. What can you tell me about this Barry White?
Well, just a friend of George's put him on to him. George wanted someone who was good at, you know, frightening people, to do the strong arm stuff on the robbery. George was never very good at that sort of thing.
Do you know White's address?
No, I never met him when he came here.
Do you know if he's got a police record?
Yeah, I think he did mention something about prison once.
Right. What makes you think it was White who killed George?
Because White thought George had cheated him out of his share of the robbery.
You mean kept back part of the diamonds?
No. George sold everything and gave White half of what he got. I was here when he gave it to him.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Well, it's easy enough. That Ryan woman said she'd had her jewellery stolen, didn't she?
Yeah.
Well, she didn't. The stuff she had stolen was replicas, paste, replicas of the real stuff, and White didn't believe George.
Sure about that jewellery?
Well, I can show you where I threw the phony stuff if you want.
Yeah.
Did Mrs. Ryan set herself up? I mean, conspire with George?
I'd like to say yes, but... No, George got his information out of her in his usual way. No better than us if they get the chance, are they?
Who?
So-called respectable citizens.
Governor. They found the gun.
Where?
It had been shoved into a rubbish chute.
Well, that doesn't sound much like a pro, does it?
They had an address for White. I give him instructions for him to be picked up.
Tell me, did Mr. Ryan know about this deception with his wife's jewellery?
No. Not from what George said. The Ryan woman told him it was strictly down to her.
What happened to the gear that was used in the robbery? The balaclavas, the briefcase, the gun?
George told White to dump them over Chelsea Bridge on his way home.
And the fence who handled the diamonds?
No idea. You better ask White.
Fence, robbery, murder. What you trying to do? Fit me up with this month's unsolved case?
We have a witness, or had you forgotten?
George's bird, do me a favour, she'd be laughed out of court. You ain't got no evidence, mate, and I've got an alibi.
Yeah, don't worry. We're checking it now.
Good. Sooner you do, sooner I'll be out of here.
How'd you come to know Reynolds?
Pal of mine introduced us one night in a boozer.
Became friendly with him, did you?
No, I hardly knew the geezer.
But you went to his flat.
Once, with this pal of mine for a drink.
What's his name?
Look, I don't have to answer your questions till I see my brief.
Governor. We found the phony gear that the Moore girl dumped.
Good. What about the briefcase he's supposed to have ditched?
Well, the river police are looking for it now, but they're not very hopeful. They think the tides might have shifted it considerably.
His alibi?
Checks for tonight, but there are a dubious lot of witnesses. Friends of his. Chances are they're lying.
No, I think he's probably telling the truth for tonight.
Like you thought Reynolds was telling the truth? Sorry. You are going to charge him, aren't you?
Yes. With robbery. This brief you want to see is any good?
Why?
Don't need to be. All right, let him make his phone call and lock him up. Well, you could have fooled me. But I'm no expert.
Well, they're good, all right. But I've had it confirmed. Expensive replicas. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Oh, why she did it?
Well, it's not as though she's short of a few quid. Yeah? What? Right, thank you. It looks as though you were right about White, after all.
Huh?
The gun was registered in the name of Ryan.
She's gone.
Gone? Well, gone where?
Oh, I've no idea. One of her friends, I expect. Hotel, I don't know. We had a blazing row.
Bud Reynolds, the blackmail?
Yes, she told me everything.
The jewellery?
Yes, that too. I was going to ring you, but I didn't. I went out and got a bit drunk, I'm afraid. When I got back, she'd gone.
Mr. Ryan, earlier tonight, someone shot and killed Reynolds. The weapon used was registered in your name.
Yes. It was for my protection, my business. Are you married, Superintendent?
Yes.
Happily?
We have our moments.
Strange what a woman can drive you to. My business is precious stones, but she was a very special gem to me. Sometimes it's easy to miss the flaws because of the brilliance and cut of the stone. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. I understand.